So hang on, go with the flow. My name is Tom Keegan. I'm going to be your moderator today. Thank you. I'm primarily a director, a voice and performance capture director for video games. Thank you. Primarily known for Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, Killzone, and Dead Rising 3, and then most recently Wolfenstein: The New Order, which is a phenomenal game. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's fantastic. So we will, I think we'll just relax for a couple of minutes until our panel arrives, and then we'll get started. Got any music? I think you're right here.
This is not me. This is good. This is very good.
Hey, I'm Tom.
Good morning, Atlanta. How'd we all sleep? Good for you, man. That's not the case here. Hey, how are you? Hello. Wow. All these beautiful girls, I feel like I'm on a game show.
You win.
This is good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so the gang is all here. Everybody have water and everything they need. Now's the moment to get set up.
Because now you won't get
So, just to formally introduce our panel and give them a big hand, I'd like to introduce Courtney Draper on the end, best known as Elizabeth in BioShock.
Hi.
Next to her is Jess Harnell from Animaniacs, and also Ironhide in Transformers. I had the pleasure of working with Jess on a Transformers
We
game.
had a blast, and you were not at all a pain in the ass. Thank you for that. Because Michael Bay on a bad day, you guys.
Next to him, please welcome Tress MacNeille from The Simpsons and Futurama. And next to me, Jeremy Lay from many animated and on-camera shows. Jeremy, let's start with you.
Okay.
Why don't you introduce yourself, the roles you know and love, and tell us a little bit about how you became a voice actor, and maybe how you became an actor in general, because I'm sure there's a few people here who've thought about it. What does it take what was your own unique path to getting into acting?
My name is Jeremy Lee. I play Lucy in Fairy Tale, Asuna in Sword Art Online, Gage in Borderlands, Patty in Soul Eater, and Lizzie in Black Butler, and then some other stuff, but those are usually the favorites. I started acting when I was like 5 or 6. I didn't set out to do voice acting initially. I just wanted to be an actor. My ultimate goal as a 5-year-old was to be on Barney.
Well, whose wasn't, really?
I mean, right?
And
Sing
did that
dance
dream
a
come
couple
true?
times. It did not. Unfortunately, I met the director of Barney, and he was like, I think you should maybe work on, just doing serious acting stuff, and don't do Barney because that's all you'll do. So as an 8-year-old, that really crushed me.
Turned out pretty good.
It turned out pretty good.
Yeah, all right.
So yeah, that was that.
And what do you love about acting? How'd you get into being a voice actor?
I got into being a voice actor when I was 7, just doing radio commercials. I had a very high-pitched voice and liked to talk and could read at a pretty high level. So I played all of the 3- and 4-year-old children in a bunch of radio commercials. And then because I was used to being in a booth and they weren't going to have to train a kid or worry if they were going to cry, I kept getting called back and working on a bunch of stuff. And as I grew up, I kept doing more, and it would evolve into doing cartoon stuff and then working as a DJ and having my own show from 8 to midnight on the weekends. So I learned how to do live radio, all of those things. I love being an actor because I love getting to experience the world in as many different facets and as many different types of people as I can. Because I'm just a big fan of human beings in general, at least when they're being nice. And I want to explore other shoes to live in. It makes for a richer life experience, in my opinion, because if I had to live just as myself all the time, I think it might be pretty boring. So that's what I
All
like.
right, thanks very much. Let's go on to Tress.
That's nice. Nice to hear. I learned a lot. We have a little bit in common in that I got my start in radio. I went to broadcasting school, and I thought I would be a disc jockey. My voice is a little shredded today. We did some character work yesterday. But anyway, it sounds a little bit different from hers, so it's kind of
My voice is tired too.
That's
I don't know what happened.
So I'll play the more mature roles today. So I didn't get into voiceover until I was 30 years old.
Hey, that's not that old. I heard a big wow out there.
Just like, so, you know,
Just
it's,
last year.
Just
Just last year.
It's right, like, yeah, almost 4 years. So, in People magazine years. Graduated from college, had a couple of jobs, and decided that I would try my hand at my dream job, and that was to become a disc jockey. So went to broadcasting school, and come to find out, I mean, it's a wonderful field, don't get me wrong, but you don't just sit in a room and play your favorite music, and that's how I had envisioned it my entire life. I thought there would be nothing better than to sit in a room and play your favorite music all day long. But you had to play with your program manager wants you to play. And, but I never got that far because I didn't get a job. I didn't have a job. So there was a voiceover workshop in conjunction with the broadcasting school, and I took that and I said, oh yeah, Jerry, oh yeah, that's what I want. And so I started taking workshops. I had the great fortune to meet up with Bob Lloyd right out of the voiceover class that I took at the broadcasting school. And he's the primary voice casting agent in the country. There are other concerns now, but at that time he was the only guy. And so he agreed to let me take his workshop, and so I did, and then I started to work for him, and so I got the experience of working the other side of the glass. So I was casting and directing eventually, and listening to actors all day long. And so it was like the University of Voiceover, and it was the greatest experience. And I would just sit all day long and watch, listen to all the greatest voice actors of the day, and still come in and audition, and they always had fresh jokes, and it was just like heaven on a bun. And and then I became involved in improv. I started at the Groundling School in Los Angeles, which is the preeminent improv school. And I was the first student to actually be accepted into the company. And so I was in the Groundlings company for 8 years. And through that, tested for Saturday Night Live. Didn't make it, but that's cool.
They're stupid.
Because, yeah, it's all right. It all works out. I would have had to live in New York. Snows there. So it all works out. I continue to take improv, and I recommend that highly to anyone who is interested in doing, excuse me, voice acting. It gives you a great opportunity to flex your brain muscles and develop both sides, and to be able to fix, well, we don't say fix to the writers of the material, but you know, you can kind of like add a little sauce on the fly, and that will get you more jobs to be able to, add just a little bit of something, but not too much, because you don't want to be improvising an entire spot. You'll insult the writers. So.
What do you think what's your take on comedy? What's your own personal? What do you think is the key to doing good comic characters? How do you approach it?
Well, I'm lucky in that it's good to have a good ear, and also to have a lot of info in your head, so you can out with it and keep a tight board, keep talking. I don't know. What's your question?
What was the question? What's the key to comedy? Is it in character for you? Is it playing you on The Simpsons? You're on many really funny shows. You play the character as a real person? Do you?
Oh yeah,
it?
I definitely play it as a real person. All of the voices that I do are based on people that I know from my life, and that's why being in an improv group is really, really great, because everybody's doing all of these great characters from their lives, and then you just steal their stuff. we borrow. We're very generous.
Let's keep it at steal their stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we all borrow from here and there, but they're all people from my life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jess, how about you?
Well, you guys probably mostly know me from my work in hair care. And I'm in a Bon Jovi tribute band that's going good. No, I've been inordinately blessed, you guys, from TV. I mean, shows like my first big show was Animaniacs. Since then, I've done a bunch more, like Drawn Together and the Cleveland Show and all those things. And movies, all the Toy Story movies, all the Transformers movies, Finding Nemo, stuff like that. And video games, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, stuff like that. So, yeah. So it's been great, And then I do valet parking at In-N-Out Burger on the weekends.
He likes to stay busy.
Yeah, exactly. Got to find something to do.
Because you have so much free time.
Yeah. My way into it was really funny because I started out, you'd never guess, I was in rock bands, and I thought this was the greatest job in the world. Then I started singing commercials, and I thought that was the greatest job in the world. Then I started singing sound-alikes. I did hundreds of sound-alikes, and what those were was that's when they wanted to use a record on a TV show, but they didn't want to pay for the record. So they had somebody come in and imitate the singer, and I could always imitate people, so I did like hundreds of those, and I thought that was the best job in the world. But then somebody said, you do all these voices, and I said, yeah. And they said, I can get you an audition. The guy I sang for said, I can get you an audition for this ride called Splash Mountain at Disneyland and Disney World. Have you guys ever been on that ride?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I can get you an audition because you do all those stupid voices all the time, and maybe you can get on that ride. And I just thought that would be great because I could take my friends to Disneyland and go, look, dude, that's me. And I thought that was good. So I went and I auditioned, and I got Brer Rabbit and Brer Bear and Brer Alligator and Brer Turtle and the Vultures and an accountant and some other characters on the ride. And so that was great. And I went to do, that was the one at Disneyland, and then a year went by, and then they wanted to do the one for Disney World. So I went in there, and I was doing all the voices for that, and there was this guy, Rick Dempsey, who's the president. You've heard of him, Trav. He's the president of Disney Character
That's when
Voices.
I met you.
Yeah, exactly, that's right. And I'll never forget that day,
I
gorgeous.
said, who is that guy?
Me too. And so Rick became like a supporter of mine, and he actually said, first thing he said was, hey, do you do Roger Rabbit? And I said, well, you got a guy doing that. He goes, no, we got some problems going on there, might not be able to make it work, or whatever. He goes, can you try that? And I said, yeah. I went home and I watched the movie, and I went in the next day and I auditioned, and I got it. And I thought, oh, this is pretty cool. And I also thought that's how it worked. I thought you went in this auditioned for everything and got it the same day, which turned out not to be the case. But it was a pretty cool way to start, So I started doing that, and I didn't have an agent, and I started doing all these Roger Rabbit jobs. And then Rick said, we got to get you an agent. I'm like, okay. So dude, you have no idea, you guys. It's like, I'm like so blessed. It's every day I just wake up going, I get to do this again, because my life is really cool. And he sent a letter to agencies, and he said, if you don't sign this guy to your agency, you're going to regret it for the next 40 years or something like that, right? So they all started taking me to lunch, which is awesome, because usually...
He likes to eat.
Yeah, I like to eat, and to get an agent, usually you got to beg and scream and plead and all that stuff, and I had no concept. I thought everybody got taken to lunch, and I'm like, this is great. So I got this agent, and then I started auditioning for shows, and the very first show that I ever became a regular on was called Animaniacs, and it was with Tress. And but dig it, you guys. What was so great about it is because my background wasn't, I mean, I knew you guys are probably really aware of the people that do this work. I had no awareness at all about it. I didn't know who the bass player in like Scorpions was, but I didn't know anybody from voiceovers. So I show up, and you got Tress McNeil, Rob Paulson, and Frank Welker. Okay, in the room, right? And this is like the all-star team of all-star teams of voice people. But what was great is since I didn't know who they were, I didn't know that I should be intimidated by them, you know? So I'm sitting next to Rob, and I'm kind of staring at him as we're like reading the script, and he finally looks over and he goes, "You okay?" And I go, "I think it's really cool how you make your voice sound like people that you're not in real life." You know, and he went, "Oh, okay." And so we immediately became friends. And you know, ever since then, thank God, man, I'm still working because I got a mortgage. So this is awesome. How about you? That's my story. I'm sticking to it. Thanks, man. It was good to be here.
Good night, everybody. So you can steal that story.
So I'm Courtney Draper. I did Elizabeth, thank you. Elizabeth in BioShock Infinite was the thing you probably know me from. And yeah, I mean, it's hard to go last because your stories are so interesting and funny. I'm not quite as funny, but I'll try. So yeah, I started out actually doing karaoke in Japan. And I was like a little kid doing karaoke contests when we lived there. And kind of started to just have a passion for music and singing. And when I went back to the States, I got into musical theater, and then started just doing voice lessons from some woman that I kind of met along the way. And she had done film and television before in Los Angeles. We were in San Diego at the time. And she said, "Yeah, I think you should try this." And I had never attempted to do acting before. And I was about 9 years old at that time, and that's kind of how I started. And then eventually I did the scratch recording for Tangled. I did Rapunzel. So basically when they're looking to animate, I wasn't like famous, so they wouldn't cast me as Rapunzel, but I got to do all the work before that. So I would work with Glenn Keane on the script, and I would go and I would do all the recordings, and then they would animate, and then Mandy Moore just kind of like I picture her gliding in.
No bitterness. No bitterness there.
No, not at all.
Gotta love showbiz.
Is she here? No.
I do all the work and she'd come gliding in.
She just like glided in and stole it from me. And,
Disney likes to do that, by the way.
I watched it once and I just like it was
You'll never
not
do
good.
that again.
So yeah, so that was kind of how I started in voiceover work, and I got to work with Glenn Keane, who was just so amazing and so generous of a director, and did some of my favorite Disney films growing up. So that was how I got started in voiceover, and then right as I said, I'm quitting acting, I'm packing my bags, I got BioShock. So yeah, that's the way it tends to work. And yeah, so here I am 3 years later, and that's my journey.
All right, thank you. Courtney, so best and worst things about being a voice actor?
Best and worst things?
Yes.
The best thing, there are a lot of good things. It's a really good job. I mean, there are days that I'm recording and I just stop and I'm like grinning like an idiot. I'm like, this is the coolest fucking, oh, can I say fuck?
No, that was me. That wasn't her. That was me. I was doing her voice.
I have to go.
I always get nervous because some they're like, don't say that word, and I've got a sailor mouth. Well, I said it twice, so that's out there. So I was like, this is the coolest fucking job. Like, I can't believe it.
That was me again.
And yeah, I mean, there are so many cool things. I like video games in particular. I found really exhilarating because in one session, I will, kill people and scream and fight and cry and die, and it's like, this is so cool. So yeah, that's pretty
Usually
awesome.
you gotta go to jail to do that. So that's
And I haven't been locked up yet. Yeah, so that's really awesome, and I like being able to go to cons, and now with the advent of Twitter, you get to connect with your fans, people that like your work, and that's really awesome. The worst part, I think waiting for your next job is like, oh dear God, is it coming? Because once the job ends, you just, it's so competitive and you never know if you're going to book again. And that's scary because it's such a passion and something you love to do. And you just hope that people respond to your work and respond to the craft that you've been honing for most of your life. And and that you're able to tap into that. So I think that's probably the scariest part for me.
All right. How about you, Jess?
Well, the best part of doing voiceover, you guys, can be summed up for me very simply, okay? It's the only job in the world where you can be the dad, the kid, and the dog on the same show in the same day, and you don't have to change your costume. That's pretty good, okay? The worst part about voiceover for me is that we do what I used to see this throat doctor, and whenever I would, lose my voice every couple of years or whatever, and he was the greatest in the world. He saw Frank Sinatra and Michael Jackson and all these guys, and he'd look at my chords, and he'd go, "Oh, you're doing all that Cirque du Soleil shit again, aren't you?" Because we do stuff every day that you're really not supposed to do. The stuff that Courtney was mentioning about, kicking and screaming and fighting and dying, we do that every day, even on cartoons. Because cartoons, you'll see, action described where your character falls out a window, bounces off a rock, flies over a cliff, lands in a river, and gets dragged behind a boat. Okay, now think about the sounds you have to make to produce that. So when you're working a lot, hallelujah, you get tired sometimes. Your voice kind of gets tired. So for me, that's the only part, because sometimes, you got to shut up for a few days, and I like to talk to people. So that's kind of a pain in the ass. But believe me, as far as the best part, there are this many, and as far as the worst part, there are this many. Like that, yeah. Exactly. How about you, Tressa?
Well,
Thank you, Jess.
Thank you. The best part of being a voice actress for me is I'm so grateful to have a job that I love and look forward to going to. Sometimes I wake up early in the morning and I hear cars out on the road, and I think, oh, people have to get up really early and go to work.
People
and
that
go
aren't
to
Tress
work.
McNeil.
And I used to, I used to start jobs fairly early in the morning, but as time goes by, you can say, oh, I really don't want to work until 10. And they'll accept that. But when I wake up in the morning, I say, oh, I get to go to work today.
Yeah.
I get to go to work. As opposed to, oh God, no, please. I just could hardly wait to come back and get back into bed. So I look forward to going to work and seeing my loved ones and the casts that you get to know and love. It's like being in a classroom where you love everybody and you love your teacher and you just laugh all day long. Laugh all day long. And I would say the worst part is that, well, this sounds stinky, but and it might not be the worst part, but not being able to share just how lucky you are with everybody, because you don't want to upset people, because because people work hard, and I work hard. I was available 365 days out of the year, 24/7. I worked on every holiday, and people could call me. I was on a beeper, and because I did radio and television and promos. Way before I did animation. And so I was on call, it was like emergency voiceover. And so they would call me at the last minute. And so I had to get up and go. And so when I was finally able to concentrate primarily on animation, it wasn't like that anymore. And not being able to share my great joy about that is somewhat limiting, but it's all good. It's all good. You work hard, and then maybe you get a little reward at the end.
Hell yeah.
I think there's so many amazing things about the job. Since I started working when I was a kid, I've gone through times in my life where an agent will say, so you can no longer play those characters anymore, you're too old for this, or we got to move on to this. But what's great about voiceover is I'm never too old to play a baby or a 4-year-old, and I got super excited when I was working on a show playing a 5-year-old, and they said, do you want to do the mom and the grandmother also? And I was like, yes, I can do all of these things, and you're not going to tell me that I'm too young or too old or I can't do anything. I'm all about it. And I also love the community of being part of this amazing group of just really happy people. Everybody loves what they do, and nobody complains, and it's just a fantastic energy to be around people who genuinely love what they do. And because they love what they do, there's no bitterness or resentment, and they want to help everybody because they're like, I love what I'm doing, so I want to help you because I know you love it, and we can all be in this lovely bubble of love and happiness and joy and gratitude every day. It's just a fantastic mental space to be around all the time. And the worst part would probably be on the days that I don't get to be around that and waiting for the next job. But that's not even the worst part, because I think it at least it forces me to live each moment being grateful for every job, and every time I'm working on something, I think I might not have this tomorrow, so I better savor it today. And I think that kind of mental space keeps attracting those kind of roles, because people can feel that when you're in the booth or other actors, and people want to be around that. So that's cool.
So what do you do to stay creative? What do you guys do between jobs, or let's say you're playing certain kind of roles and you think like, it's not as fresh. What do you do? Where do you get inspiration from? I mean, some people, like, I find if I'm doing a lot of directing a lot of on-camera stuff, I can't watch anything on a screen. So I'll go to a museum where I'll see dance or something. What do you guys do? What do you do to keep it fresh?
Talking to me.
Sure. Anybody.
I thought maybe we were going in some sort of order. Because I'm asked to do a lot of impressions, a lot of character work. I have to be familiar with prototypes, and oftentimes, I don't know until the night before. With like the Simpsons, for example, it was the same with Futurama, with Animaniacs. I would do 20, 25, 30 different voices in a show, and a lot of them impressions. And so, you have those old standard standbys that you can rely on. But as time goes by, you have to be familiar with the current prototypes. And so it was like, oh no, I gotta look into Lady Gaga now. Yeah. I gotta find out what she sounds like.
Yes. So can you do your Lady Gaga for us?
No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Jess, can you do Lady Gaga?
No, it's too early. But here's the thing. No, you know what it is. What Tress is saying is true, you guys. I mean, and this is a great audience to tell this to. It's like the coolest thing about voiceover is that you really use your imagination a lot. And hey, look at that!
See, I imagine the lights turning off.
Someone shut the wrist.
You don't need lights for a voiceover.
Oh yeah, exactly. See, we don't need anything.
Just your ears.
The thing is, it's sort of like, I think of voiceover, a good analogy of it is having a really big box of crayons, okay? And you always want to add more crayons to your box. So what Tress was saying is really true. It's like when I remember being at the movie Sling Blade. Remember that movie Sling Blade from a bunch of years ago, Billy Bob Thornton? And I was sitting there in the audience, and the girl that I was with had to nudge me because as Billy Bob Thornton was doing his thing with that, I'm gonna have some potted meat and French fried potatoes and everything. I'm sitting in the audience and I'm doing that because I'm thinking they're probably gonna ask me about this. They're probably gonna say, does anybody do right? Because that's exactly what you're saying. Yeah. So you're just always adding. You gotta be like a student of life and a student of pop culture and a student of the world. A really funny, quick story I can tell you. Just keeping your ears open, One time I flew in from God knows where, and I landed at LAX airport, and I was getting my bags. And I had to literally get in a taxi and go to a session. I was going to some TV session. And I grabbed my bag, and there's this guy next to me, grabbing his bags, and he's got his family with him. He's got his wife and like 3 little kids, and he's got a Mickey Mouse shirt on that's too small and ears and everything, and it's obvious where he's going. He's going to Disneyland, And he's talking to his kids. He's like, hey, honey, get that bag. Yep, get this one. Hey, Andy, don't forget your turtle over there, your stuffed animal, And he's talking, right? And I'm listening to this guy, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. So I go to my session. And I'm doing my regular voice, but they go, hey, Jess, you're also going to play a cop. There's this new cop character and on page 17. And I'm like, all right. And so we get to page 17, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, what the hell? I'm like, hey, listen, everybody, we're going to go find this guy, and they're going to take care of that. And they really like the voice, right? So they made him a recurring character on the show.
This man has no idea.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great? Because Tressa, he had little kids who were of the age that they would watch that show. And I'm thinking, wouldn't it be amazing if he's home having his coffee, going to work one night, he's like, hey, wait a minute. Because it was a good impression. It sounded a lot like the guy. So but that's the cool thing is you just, as far as staying creative, man, you just keep your eyes and ears open. I'll probably be imitating one of you guys later.
You will.
Because we're
That's
signing.
when the stealing comes
Yeah.
in. That we spoke.
We've been signing stuff. We got to meet so many of you people, and you're awesome. You've been so nice to us, so thank you. But if any one of you has a really weird voice, please come and see me so I can steal it.
Definitely.
So you can steal from me. How about you, Courtney?
I try to be really. I'm kind of like you. I mean, I think that just in order to keep my creative juices flowing, I try and not become obsessive in just one area of art. It's really important to me to just be pulling from all the different facets. So I try to watch a lot of, film and television and animated stuff. And I don't skip through the commercials for change the radio station anymore because I'm like, oh wait, that could be a job.
That's
yeah,
right.
I should go and listen to that. Yeah. So but then I also try to do I'm a huge reader, so I read a lot of literature, and that's really great for me because it's all about getting in someone's shoes and experiencing this story with them, and so that has been a great way to facilitate my creativity and I think it's really important as an actor to be able to step in someone else's shoes and bring that character to life and make it seem, organic and like a real person. So that's really helped me. And I'm going to museums and just trying to be really engaged in art and culture. And I feel like we're really lucky to be able to be in a place where we have the time to do that. And I feel like because it gets lost, a lot of people who are working in different sectors don't really get to say, oh man, I've got to watch all the great films that are coming out. It's my job. I mean, it's so awesome, and I get to expense that. What? Like all my iTunes purchases, I'm like, oh, it's research. It's so great. So yeah, I just try to really stay engaged and just try to be. What is that quote? Sucking the marrow out of life. That's what I try to do.
Nice.
I love reading. I love listening to music. Sometimes when I will listen to music, especially classical music, I will see scenes in my head, and then I have to write them down, and then I'll be working on screenplays or other things to write. But then two weird things that I do. I love to go to amusement parks and malls and not ride any rides, but just walk around and go through the stores and stand in line for rides and just listen to as many people and watch as many people. Which is why I also enjoy watching reality TV, because some people just amuse me so much with I don't understand, and it fascinates me. And my mom is a dance teacher for kids under 5, so I will go assist classes with her and hang out with little kids because I'm in awe of how excited they are and what things amuse them, like a sticker. It's amazing, and they will talk about the sticker for 40 minutes. And since I play a lot of little children, when I have to go in and do ad-lib things, and they're like, we just want this kid, we haven't written it, we have like 3 lines, can you ad-lib? We want this kid to just talk about, I don't know, something funny, and I'll remember that in my mom's tap class, this little girl got a sticker on her tap shoe and talked to me about it for 40 minutes. And the whole time
Can you do her? What'd she say? Do her.
What was the first? She goes, I just love my duck sticker. It sparkles, and I'm going to go tell my daddy that I'm going to get a whole thing of duck stickers, and maybe I can get a hamster sticker, because I like hamsters. I have a hamster, and her name is Annabella. My dad wanted me to name her Isabella, but I was like, Dad, I like the A letter better than I. It's just fun. I love getting to hang out with kids, and I am the oldest of all of the grandkids in my family, so I sit at the kids' table, and I'm not leaving. I'm like the shortest one there. Everybody's getting taller than me. They're stuck with me forever.
How about, favorite character, maybe. Favorite character or characters, and maybe like a signature line. How about it? You just did a great kid. Got any others that are kind of signature for you that you love?
I guess Gage in Borderlands was really fun because she's like a little warrior kind of girl that got to blow stuff up, and I don't get to do that normally because I'd probably go to jail. But she got to say things like, "Dad, I don't want your hot chocolate. I'm a woman of science and ass-kickery, not children's beverages." God. Okay, it is really good. I'll drink it, but just this once.
Nice.
Ass kickery. Well, every character that I do is my favorite. I'm so grateful. But of course, I love Dot.
Yeah, hell yeah.
She's so cute, she just can't help it.
And I'm also Daisy Duck.
Donald.
And Agnes Skinner. Of course, I love her. None of you are the principal of this room, and you never will be. I'm Dolph, Dolph, one of the punky guys. I'm Wilma Flintstone. Let me see. Mom, I rule the universe in the year 3000, you crap. Jam a squirrel in it. What else? Huh?
Babs, funny. Do you like my ears better up or down?
Cookie Kwan. I sell real estate on the west side in the Simpsons. The cat lady. Last year, I really the kitties. That's Matt Groening's favorite character, by the way. Charlotte Pickles from Rugrats. I'm Angelica's mother. She's the sweetest little girl in the whole world. And I'm also a Wharton grad. Many
All
others.
right. Thank you. Big hand.
I got it. Come on. I got to point something out. It's just a quick sidebar. Listening to Tress, and by the way, that is only a small sampling, you guys, of all the characters that Tress has done. But what's amazing is, you guys ever watch that show Survivor? You ever know that show? Well, a few years ago, this just really impacted me. There was a girl on that show named Lisa Welchel who was on a show called The Facts of Life. I don't know if any of you guys remember The Facts of Life. It was this show in the 80s. And she went on Survivor, okay, which was so weird because she was Blair on The Facts of Life. I mean, the girl was on the cover of TV Guide and all this other stuff, and she was, on the Bob Hope Christmas special and things, and now she's on Survivor. And there were two things that were interesting. The first one was that nobody else on the show recognized her. Nobody knew who she was, okay? And the second thing was that she's talking about, and she was candid about it, she said, I'm here because I love the show and I think it's a great game, and, I haven't worked in a long time and I need the dough, right? And which was very honest. And I thought to myself, how weird is it that you can be involved in something that impacts popular culture and that millions and millions of people are aware of, okay? And you do that for 4 or 5 years and you make some good dough or whatever. And then, 20 years later, you're going on a game show to try to, pay your mortgage. God bless her, I hope that everything's going well for her. But the thing about voiceover that is amazing is that, if you are an on-camera actor and you have one project or two projects that people remember 10 years later and they're still fond of, that's like a miracle. With voiceover, if you're really, really blessed and if you're really, really amazing, then you get to do it for years and years and years, and all of a sudden you're looking at this list of 25 things that you've done over 25 years, all of which are still important culturally, and you'll be in the grocery store standing next to a guy with a t-shirt that has a character you played on, and he has no idea it's you. You know what I'm saying? So you're really like Batman in real life. But, yeah, right? It's true. But, for me, as far as favorite characters and stuff, like Tress said, they're all my favorites. I'm doing these 3 new shows right now. One is called Doc McStuffins, and it's really sweet. It's for little kids, and I love that because it's making a lot of kids really happy, and it's helping kids not be afraid of going to the doctor and get sick and stuff. So I love that, and I love.
Who do you do? Who do you do?
Well, I'm Chili the Snowman, which is like this big snowman guy.
And
And I'm the Wicked King, who is this sort of haughty English fellow who has no arms or legs. And I'm Buddy the Dump Truck. I'm this New Yorker dump truck guy. And then I'm on Sophia the First, which is another good show. And I'm Cedric, the sorcerer, who always wants to take over the kingdom on that. And I'm on this new show called The 7D that's coming out, which is like a reimagining of The Seven Dwarves by a lot of the Animaniacs people, by the way. Tom Ruger, who ran Animaniacs, is running The 7D. And on that show, I play this guy Grim, who's kind of like Patrick Warburton, and he's really kind of stupid and thick, you know. And he's married.
Thievery.
But dig this.
Like I said, thievery.
Dig this. He's married to Kelly Osbourne. You guys know Kelly Osbourne? And so I work with Kelly all the time. And what I love about that, you know, is I get to talk to Kelly like I'm her father, you know. But you know, as far as favorite roles, you know, I think Wacko will always be so dear to my heart because it was my first big series. It's where I fell in love with Tress and Rob, and I got to meet everybody. And I got to say things like, I've got a potty emergency. And I got to say things like, can I call you Dadu? You know, and all that stuff. And last thing, I just got to mention this because it's just fun. You know, I love doing stuff that people don't know you did. And like one of my favorite signature lines that you asked about, Tom, is a favorite signature line. Here's a story for you. So I'm working on this little movie, and I'll tell you what it is in a minute. And me and the director are standing around, and everybody else isn't there. And he goes, you know what I want to do? He goes, let's just get around this microphone, and we're going to say one word, and we'll just say it in a whole bunch of different voices. And I said, okay. And he told me the word, and I'm like, all right. So me and him got on, and we were just treading out different voices, saying this one-syllable word. And I thought, well, that was really stupid. and I went home, and I forgot about it. Well, a few years later, the word was mine, okay, the M-I-N-E, okay, all right? See, isn't that funny? And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So a few years later, I get invited to go see Finding Nemo, right? And I'm like, okay, this was that thing where I did a lot of stuff in that movie, but I'm like, oh, this is that one where me and Andrew were saying mine 1,500 times. Let's go see what the hell that's about. Remember the seagulls?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was it. And I had no idea what the hell we were doing. But, you know, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's it. So what's great. And then again, I'm in the grocery store and I'm standing next to some little kid with the seagulls going, mine, mine, mine. And I'm like, there we go again.
These are tough acts to follow. Well, I've got, you know, Elizabeth I got to do, and she did so many different, she just went through such an evolution from, you know, when we first started doing her, and she was so just happy and sweet and innocent, and it's that music booker. She's just so happy. And then, you know, when she goes on her killing rampage and she's like very film noir, and then I got to do.
So she's
bipolar. Yes, exactly.
Can you do a little bit of the film noir?
I was trying to sit here remembering what she said. I think one was at the very beginning of the DLC. I think she just said something like, "Got a light." She's just it's like such a different. When
Ooh, that was sexy.
Yeah. You like that? And she's just like so vampy. And then, you know, when she was older and I got to do like Nanny Booker, and she's like so old. And when we had originally done her, she was a lot more broken down when she ended up in the game. And so yeah, I got to do that stuff. And then when I was on Buffy, I played Annabelle, who was very uptight and a rule follower, and she'd always tell you to stop prattling on. So that was kind of fun. And then I've got this little guy that I'm working on.
His name's Buddy, and he's a private detective, and he wants to know who stole his cookie.
So you like get to just this little kid that I ran into, and I was like, his voice is awesome. And then this like crazy ex-girlfriend of my ex-boyfriend called me one time and left this ranting voicemail. And I was like, what a great voice. And her name was Nicole, and she wanted to tell me to stop calling Justin because that's her man now, and she gets validated from him every day. And I was like, thank you for this amazing voice. And she was just so awesome. So it's fun. You just get to like just pick up all these little voices and work on these characters and sound psychotic.
This is a question for all the guys in the room. Isn't it cool to see hot chicks talking like babies and little guys? How amazing is that, man? It's like a...
I remember once, I'm always doing like little, I'm sure, like we all do, we just do little voices walking around and talking with our friends. And I remember I have an aquarium at the house, and we were looking, you know, a new fish that we were buying, and I was talking to my boyfriend, Kevin, and saying, you know, we were just talking in crazy voices. And the people all the staff were just staring at us. And we went to pay, they were like, you guys have so many weird voices. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah, do you talk to yourself? Who here talks to themselves in
all the
character
time.
as various?
I talk to myself, but I never listen. So it's kind of bad.
Hey, Jess, tell the story about that kid at Disney World.
Oh, you guys, you want to hear a quick funny story? This is really funny. Okay, all right. I got a million of these, so if you see me walking around, just ask me for another one. But I was at Disney World. What had happened was me and Tress and Rob were out because when Animaniacs hit real big, we did a signing tour. We got to go all over the country, and we were in Chicago, and I got a phone call that my grandpa passed away, which was, of course, a sad thing. Yeah, very cool guy. But I was thinking about my mom, because she lived in Florida, and so did my grandpa. And I called my mom, and I said, listen, I'm going to come and do the memorial thing and everything. And then I said, listen, Thanksgiving is in 6 days or something. Why don't we spend Thanksgiving at Disney World? I'll take you to Disney World. And she's, oh, that's very nice, honey, because she was so sweet. So flew out there, and I got my mom, we off to go to Disney World, and we're walking around. Now, Animaniacs had just come out, and it was really, really, really popular. And all these people are walking around with Animaniacs shirts and hats and like backpacks and stuff. And my mom was so tickled by this, and she kept going, oh, go tell them. Go tell them. Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's not going to happen, Mom. And she said, oh, they'll be so happy. And I said, no, Mom, I'm not going to walk up to somebody. So we're waiting online for one thing or another, and there's this little boy. Okay, and he was really, really cute. And he was like 8 or 9 years old or something, and he's wearing an Animaniac shirt, and he was by himself. And you know how they have the lines and they wrap around, So I'm kind of facing this guy, and I see him, and he looks so bored, and my mom says, oh, honey, you have to tell him. He's not having any fun, and you're just going to make his day. And I'm like, it's my mom, So we get out. I'm like a foot and a half away from this guy. And I go, hey, how you doing? Right? And he looks at me, he's like, right, immediately, right?
Stranger danger.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even stranger danger. It was more like, get the hell away from me, dude. Right? And I'm like, I'm like, how you doing? He goes, good. He was like Cartman. He's like, I'm good, you guys. I'm trying to think. And I'm like, hey, you got the Animaniacs shirt, right? And he goes, yeah. And I said, do you like that? And he said, yeah. And I go, who's your favorite character on that? And he goes, Wacko, why? Right? And I go, oh. I said, well, it's funny you should say it. I go, because, I do his voice, right? And he looks at me for a minute and he goes, so I do it too. Right? Yeah. And this confused me, right? And I'm like, oh, no. I don't mean like for fun. I said, I do that on the show, right? And he's like, no, you don't. Right? And I'm like, no, I do really. And he goes, they record that in California. And I said, well, I live in California. I said, look, I take out my driver's license, right? Right now he's like a bouncer, okay? and I show him my driver's license, and he goes, oh yeah, okay, you live in California, you have to do his voice on the show, right? And I'm like, oh. I go, well, wait, look, I got something else, right? And I had this card at the time that had a picture of me with Wacko on it, right? And because somebody gave it to me and I was carrying it around, I go, look, right? And he goes, oh, okay, because let me get this straight. He goes, you live in California and you have a picture of you with him, so obviously you have to be the guy on the show, right? So now I want to freaking kill him, dude. And my mom is behind me going, I am so sorry, right? And I said, I go, okay.
Now we know why he was alone.
Right, exactly, because everybody hates him.
It's like everybody left me.
So I look at him and I go, okay, listen. I go, what will it take for me to prove to you?
You should pull up your IMDb page.
Yeah, but I didn't know what that. There was no cell phones. This was in 1993 or something. And I go, yeah. Well, now I hope he's looking at it, the little prick. So I said, I go. What will it take for me to convince you that I'm not the voice of Wacko? And he goes, well, let me hear you do it. Right? And I go, and you guys, I never get nervous ever. I was so nervous, right? And I'm like, oh, and I go, okay, hang on a minute. I'm trying to think of something clever to say, and he's got me all, and so I go, well, it sure is great to be here at Disney World on Thanksgiving, right? And he looks at me and he goes, I do it way better than that, right? Yeah. So I said, well, let me hear you do it, right? So he did it, and I kind of looked at him and I go, yeah, you do it better than me. And you know the weirdest part is that kid grew up to be Justin Bieber, dude.
No.
No, he didn't. But if he had, then I would kill him. True that. See, and that's the last time. I don't do that anymore, man. Because see what happens? It's like then you meet some little bastard kid, and you gotta spend.
But now at least you could sing like the state capitals or something, because not everybody can just.
Yeah, that's true. But I need a lyric sheet, and I didn't have one. I'm not Rob Paulson. Rob can charrette out all those songs, and it's fantastic. Me, I gotta be like, if it's not Def Leppard, I don't know it by heart.
All right. So, so what do you guys? What's it like when you come to these fan conventions? Like, what do you?
Awesome.
Any great stories? Any interesting things happen meeting fans? Do you do a lot of these? Is this you only do a couple?
I mean, I've just kind of started hitting up the conventions, and when I started doing BioShock, so it was just this huge world just blown wide open that I had never been exposed to before, and I'm just addicted to it. I mean, someone gave me this little Elizabeth doll that she made out of clay. Okay,
Yeah.
is she here? Maybe, or someone's just whooping. Oh, she's here. Okay. And I was like signing autographs, and I started crying. It's like, because I can't believe that people.
Because
have
she's
become,
allergic to clay.
Yeah, I'm allergic.
Sad.
Yeah, I have
Such a
hives.
pretty
Actually, I don't
girl.
know if you can see
It's
them.
so ill.
It was just, it's so beautiful to be able to connect with people and meet people that fall in love with these characters that I fell in love with, and that I put, especially Liz, who I put 3 years, creating her, and it's just so amazing to be able to have that, and I don't know, people at these conventions are some of the coolest people that I've ever met, and a lot of times, it's true, I mean, a lot of times, I've been to other things, or, autograph signings and stuff from other things I've done, and it's just a very, it's cool in its own way, but it's a very different vibe, so I really like coming to these, and I hope that I can continue to be doing these, because the opportunity to be able to meet people, and I remember I was walking around the other day and I saw this huge group, and it was a little sister and a big daddy and Elizabeth, and the Elizabeth, spoiler alert, when she's like all bloody and she sees herself dead in a corner in the DLC. That was a pretty big spoiler. Sorry about that. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
It's my last day. No death threats, please. And and I just see this huge group, and I'm like on the balcony, like, hey, it's Elizabeth, and people are like, who the fuck is that? And I like ran down and took pictures, and it's so awesome. The energy is so cool. It's so fantastic to be able to be here and be a part of this.
Can I tell one more 90-second story, Tom? Do I have
Yes,
time? All right. My favorite Comic-Con story of all time ever. Well, first of all, one of the early Comic-Cons, I did this movie called Comic Book the Movie with Mark Hamill, and I know you guys have heard of him. And we went to San Diego, and hanging out with Mark Hamill for a few days at Comic-Con is like hanging out with a pope outside the Vatican. Okay, that's all I can tell you. But and I've since done many. I mean, I haven't done as many as my brother Rob Paulson has, and this Comic-Con is very special to me because it was the first time that Rob and Tress and I and Mo were all together, at a Comic-Con. So that was kind of nice, it was like a family reunion, But my favorite Comic-Con story is that this was just so crazy, you guys. When I'm not signing stuff or doing one of these things, which I love to do, I'll sometimes go walk around the dealer floor because I'll find some funky stuff to buy. Sometimes there's a backpack with one of my faces on it, and I'm like, I gotta get that. So because they don't give us anything for free. So I'm walking around. If I'm walking around and somebody comes over and says hi, that's cool, because I like meeting you guys, and it's all good. So there's this tap on my shoulder, and I turn around. And there's this little dude there, okay, and he's dressed up as Superman, and he was about 5'6". He was probably about 50 years old, weighed probably about 350. Okay, he was a big dude, and he's wearing a Superman costume, and it wasn't one of the cool new Superman costumes that had all the muscles built into it, so you can look immediately buff. It was like one of the old school ones that was spandex, and so it was really tight, and he had like big sweat stains going on and everything like that, and it wasn't sexy. And he had done
Well,
Brill.
it all depends.
Right, he had done Brill cream in his hair, and the Brill cream was very, very thick in his hair and stuff like that. And you know, a sweet guy, but like I said, he's not going to be on the front cover of Playgirl anytime soon. And so he says, "Oh, Mr. Harnell," he goes, "You know, I'm a fan of your work in animation." And he said, "Would you mind answering some questions?" And I go, "No, Superman, I'm a big fan of yours ever since you killed Brainiac. I thought that was awesome." And he goes, "Well, you know, this episode of this episode of that." Then he goes, "Can I get a would you mind if I got a photograph with you?" Right? And I said, "Sure, man, that'd be great." And he goes, this was the moment, you guys. And he goes, well, would you mind very much if I asked Supergirl to join us?" Right? And I just thought, this is fantastic, man. Because, you know, here's a guy who would probably be considered a misfit, you know, and he was dressed inappropriately because spandex is a right and not, you know, is a privilege, not a right. And I'm like, this is amazing. I said, because here's this guy, and, you know, he has found a kindred spirit. He's found somebody to love. He's found somebody who not only is cool with him in the outfit with the Brill cream and the whole thing going on, but she actually came here with him in a Supergirl costume and is hanging with him. And I thought, love is beautiful, and isn't the world grand? And the angels were, oh, and I'm like, this is so great. And I put my hand on his shoulder, and I went, man, I said, I got to tell you, I would be honored to take a picture with you and your Supergirl. And I meant it. I was like almost choked up. And he goes, well, thank you very much. Mom! Straight up, man. And Mom came around the corner in a pair of hooker boots and a platinum blonde hair wig, and I thought, you know, this is why you gotta love Comic-Con. That's it. But on a serious note, and I want to tell you this, that's it's a totally true story. But the fact of the matter is that the coolest part about it, and not to get like sentimental with you guys, but I really, really mean this, is that we work in a vacuum. I might have heard that first from you. We work in little rooms with maybe, if we're lucky, a couple of our friends and an engineer and a director. And that's pretty much it. It's not like doing live theater or even doing a live rock show where you get immediate response from people. We get delayed response because we record something and then like 9 months later it's on TV. We probably don't even see it. So when we come here, we get to meet all these sweet, wonderful people. And these sweet, wonderful people will wait in line an hour and a half to say hello and then thank you for being there. And the truth is, we have to thank you guys for being there, for waiting to say hi, and for caring about what we do. The greatest moments of these things are always when people say, you know, I was sick, and when I was sick, I watched your show every day and it made me feel better. I was going through a rough time and this made me laugh. And it's like, that's what it is all about. So I just want to say thank you to you guys. I really appreciate it.
I just have a question. Do we do Q&A? I've not been in this room, so.
Do we what?
Q&A.
We have like one question lined up, apparently.
Do we have a question?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing okay. What is the hardest voice you've ever done?
Hardest voice, anybody? Well, for me, I'll just throw it out there. The voices that, you know, it's very strange because I did a lot of, for instance, I do a lot of Cartman stuff for the South Park video games and things like that.
Like, they're probably going to get one or two questions.
Oh.
I don't know why everyone's lining up. I'm not trying to be a jerk here.
Okay.
Their panel's going to end, like, very soon.
All right.
All right, we'll do what we can.
Anybody with quick answers?
We'll do it as
Quick
quick as we
answers.
can. A hard voice is, well, like for instance, I was saying, I do Cartman on a lot of the South Park stuff, and you'd think that would hurt, but it doesn't. What does hurt? It's like voice quality. Like I did when the Wizard of Oz came back out. I did the Cowardly Lion for a whole bunch of Wizard of Oz stuff.
And since that voice is all here, it's all in the throat, it's all very much like this. It's like after a while of doing it, your voice starts to get real tired.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that. So for me, it's like a texture thing that tires me out. What about you guys?
The hardest voice I remember having to do was for the series Casper, and I played the role of Miss Banshee. And so all she did was Banshee scream the whole time. I mean, really, just scream every line. And I had several roles like that. Where I did nothing but scream, and it always seemed to be at the same studio. And I remember, feeling so bad for the engineer because, you know, he never knew, you know, how to adjust his levels, and he must have imagined and felt sorry for me that was my career as a screamer. But no, it was definitely Miss Banshee.
All right, next question, please.
It feels so short.
It's okay. I feel your pain.
Okay, let's go.
Jess, can you do the mine thing real quick?
The lion thing?
The mine, like the seagull thing? Mine.
Oh, mine. There you go.
Thank you.
All right,
As best as I remember.
okay, let's go.
Hey, this is for Courtney. So growing up, I was in Catholic school from kindergarten until I graduated high school. And obviously, Bioshock has a lot of infinites. Bioshock Infinite, a big theme is like religion and how it's played out in America and everything like that. And I basically don't know anybody who did what I did and came out of it
Come on,
like
let's
straight.
get to your question.
Anyway,
I did. I'm cool.
But anyway, there's a post credits of you singing "Will the Circle Be Unbroken," which just for someone being in that situation just completely like hits me in the gut every time I hear it. So I just wanted to say that you did fantastically, and I love hearing it every single time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very nice, man.
This one's for Jeremy. Can you do Patty's oink, like
Sure.
with the Death the Kid scene?
Yeah.
Pigs go oink, and I'm gonna break this giraffe's neck.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey.
Is it okay if I do some impersonations for you?
Go for it.
All right, sure. You
Okay.
can do 2 impersonations.
Good best two, bro.
I can only do 2, so I can only do Russian now. Or I can do this. In a world where MomoCon is awesome.
A little Don LaFontaine.
All right.
Thank you.
Godfather. Nicely done. Keep it
Okay.
up. You do trends.
Good job, man.
All right, so let's give a big round of applause to our panel.
No, thank you so much. for
Thank you
coming out.
guys. You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
Love
guys.
you.
We love you.
Thank
and
you
thank
so
you for
much.
coming.